Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article here from PR Newswire. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So, the reason I made this video is because some of you asked in the previous video, what is Mobile X and who is Mobile X? So, I wanted to bring some additional clarity in this video and be open and honest about what Mobile X is, what they do, and what they stand for. So Mobile X, very briefly, very quickly to start off, is an MVNO, mobile virtual network operator. So they are running off of Verizon's network, right? Legalities and the legal side of things, they can't really state that in any of their marketing for whatever reason, but they're running off of Verizon's network. And recently, as you can see in this article, they made a massive network update for several purposes, right? For one, for new customers to have easier activation, right? Maybe it's now much smoother to port in. I've never done the process, but they're working around the clock trying to get this to be the smoothest experience in the industry. And that was one. And then the other purpose, they want to get the network to be flawless, right? It's not their own network, but there are APN settings. They can work with the carrier to get the performance on the data, right, for the plans that they offer to be the best, right? So they very likely, it wasn't disclosed publicly, they very likely got higher priority on Verizon's network. And of course they have to pay for that, but it's a great feature for the consumer, right? So now they have uncapped, it used to be 30 gigs, right? You had premium data up to 30 gigs, and then after the 30 gigs, you very likely got deprioritized during busy times. I never saw them promote or market a hard cap. I didn't see that on the plans. So that's likely what it was. After 30 gigs, you just get deprioritized, right? Lower priority. That's now gone. It's uncapped. And of course, they're not going to advertise you go and do 200 gigs because that's very expensive for them. So they probably have a fail safe, if you will. But it's there. It's a choice. It's optionality for a consumer that may need that plan. So they offer it, right? 24.88, boom, uncapped. And then they doubled the data on the second medium plan, if you will. It went from 5 gigs to 10 gigs. And that plan is, I believe, 14.88. And then the big innovative plan, or the most innovative plan in the industry, is you pay for only what you use, right? It's AI driven. It gives you 10 days of a free trial where you can try it out. It tracks your data usage and it tells you, hey, based on the patterns of your usage, this is how much data you should be using monthly, and this is how much you will pay us for that usage, right? It's not a set amount like the carriers are doing. You could be paying a set amount of $50 and only use 2 gigs, right? For those 2 gigs, I guarantee you it's going to be a lot cheaper through Mobile X. So that's just a basic summary of what Mobile X is and the changes that they just recently done. They are an MVNO, just like Visible, Total, but they are also a startup. So keep that in mind. They are still a startup, so they are still working on making improvements, making changes to benefit you, the consumer. And they are very consumer driven. Keep that in mind. Could that change in the future? I doubt it, right? Peter Adderton, the owner, he's the one that started Boost in the US before, I believe, selling it to Sprint. So he is matured, well experienced in this field, and he knows exactly how to own and operate a MVNO. He's very, very, very well experienced. He's very likely more experienced than some of the other top level executives at these companies. And he understands the market very well, right? I want to be open and upfront about that. So if you're waiting on changes, if you're waiting on certain aspects to get better, you will get further and a much quicker response on those changes from Mobile X. They, like I said, they are innovative. They are a startup. They have, and I'm going to be very open and honest, they have nothing to lose here. When it comes to the MVNO space, wireless in general, right? Serving the serving a great low cost option, right? Trying to serve the consumer that doesn't have the means to pay $100 for one line, right? Just being honest. So this is who the lower cost consumer is, who they are trying to serve. But in the process, as they get better, as they learn, right, trial and error, they are going to serve everyone. They will never meet a customer they didn't like. It's really that simple. And that's how it should be treated as a startup. You look at your lead offer, which is going to be the personalized plan. That is going to be their lead offer. It's the reason they created the platform. It's AI driven. That's going to be their lead offer. That's how you essentially create the foot traffic, and then you just grow. And that's what they're in the process of doing. And as they're growing, they're going to look at retail. They're going to look at further expanding, direct to consumer, D2C, right? They're gonna get very, very, very involved in the digital aspect because it works, right? It simply works. If I had to give a recommendation, if Peter Adderton asked me today of a recommendation, I would tell him to strictly stick to D2C, direct to consumer, right? The retail space is good from a certain aspect, like being in Walmart, no problem with that. And expanding in Walmart, it's a good thing. It brings awareness of the brand. It gets people looking like, hey, who's Mobile X? What do they offer, right? But then if you look at some of the sections in Walmart, it's saturated. You have very small spaces because you have many, 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 many brands. So it's kind of from that aspect, it's kind of hard to stick out, right? You try to brightest possible color. You try to stick out in any way you can, but then you have Boost Mobile that has a bright orange. You got Total, you got Straight Talk, you got all that in Walmart, and it's just really hard to really differentiate yourself in from that aspect, right? That little space that you do have. So I think it's good to be there, right? So that way, if you have someone interested, they can just go and grab a SIM. But I think the D2C is where I think their success will be, because if you do the whole brick and mortar, and it's costly, right? It increases your operations. You have to have physical presence. You have to hire store reps or sale reps that you got to pay. And Mint Mobile has been very successful with D2C. Visible has been very successful with D2C. And I think the experience that Peter has, I just think he can beat them in so many different ways, right? Just being more in tune with the consumer, not just driven by the business side, which it's of course very important, right? The business side is important. You still have to make an ROI, right? You got to make money. If you're not making money, then you're not a business. It's really that simple. But there's still that aspect where just listen to the consumer. It's really that simple. When John started that whole Un-carrier movement at T-Mobile, a lot of that stuff he said is really simple and it makes sense. Just listen to the people and they will tell you what you need to do. And I think that's what Peter's going to do. I don't think Peter's going to start this whole Un-carrier revolution, but he's going to be very disruptive. He's going to look at, does it make sense for the consumer and does it make sense for me? And that's what he needs to do. I feel that's how he's going to get the business off the ground. It has to work like that, right? You come out with the lead offer, you push your go-to market, you throw in some marketing here and there, and that's just a lot of word of mouth, right? Just a lot of word of mouth. Savings is a big deal right now. The way where the economy is headed, recession fears and everything. Mobile X is a big player to keep an eye on. I mean, they're not super huge yet, like, have hundreds of millions of customers, but I think in the MVNO space, they are a big player to keep an eye on. I think they will take share from the Mints, the Visibles, the Boosts. I think they will do it. I have people messaging me, hey, I just joined Mobile X. Thanks for the videos. That's what they're sending me in private. It's a great experience. So from a network perspective, you're on Verizon, right? Like I said at the beginning of the video. So that performance should speak for itself. You should be able to do your day-to-days, your calls, your texts should work the best. The Verizon network is the most premium, largest network, right? That's based on crowdsourced, looking at everything. Now it's just for Peter to bring the brand presence and to start scaling slowly, right? Eventually, there will be some free cash flow rolling in where they can put national marketing. Maybe one day they'll be at the Super Bowl. Who knows? Maybe they have some marketing, right? They're already at the X Games and everything else. Maybe one day they will be at the Super Bowl. Maybe one day they will be a huge sponsor for NASCAR and maybe the NBA. Who knows, right? That's all in the cards for the future. But for now, you have to start slow. You have to look at the pros and the cons, and you just got to listen. I think that's what Mobile X needs to do, and I think Peter already understands that very well. Like I said, he's very well experienced. Very well experienced. And we haven't really heard any numbers as to how successful Mobile X really is. And I don't know if they'll ever hit the stock market or be a publicly traded company. I don't know. But I think that they're going to have some very, very surprising success. So definitely be on the lookout. If you haven't tried it, check it out. A link to this article will be in the description. And just check them out, right? They're in most end caps at Walmart, in the electronic section or wireless section, wherever that is in your Walmart. Check them out. It's a good price, a good network, and it's for a good cause, right? It's really just to serve the lower cost consumer. And maybe in the future, who knows, if they get even bigger, maybe they can serve all, right? Maybe they can do FWA. Very possible, right? If it makes sense, right? If it makes dollars, it makes sense. And if they can do FWA at a reasonable rate and say, hey, look, we can do it a little cheaper than you guys, but maybe we don't need the unlimited. Maybe we do 300, 400, 500 gigs. However they structure it, as a startup, you have to be willing to try it. You have to do all of it because you want your business, the outcome, you want it to be very successful. So I just wanted to make this video explaining Mobile X is an MVNO, mobile virtual network operator, same as Visible, Mint, and all the other brands. Brands are consolidating, right? Mint technically is not a mobile virtual network operator anymore. They're prepaid, right? T-Mobile owns them, and then Verizon bought TracFone, so the mobile virtual space is kind of getting slim. So Peter's stepping in, and he wants to be that option for low-cost consumers. I don't think he will make the mistake again of selling his brand like he did with Boost. But eventually, if they do get to a bigger size, that may be looked at again, or somebody else may be running Mobile X down the line. But for now, it's going to be a disruptive, innovative, very highly motivated company to serve the low-cost consumer, and eventually, even in the short midterm, I would say, serve everyone. I mean, they serve anyone today. You can port in from T-Mobile, saving money. You can port in from AT&T to save money, and you can port in from Verizon to save money. It's really that simple. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.